We're back. Nishmas Eliezer Akiva Ben Rav Simcha Dovid is outside today. I've been away. I've been for a few days in Venice, which of course, a couple of things. That was where the Yerushalmi was first printed in 1523. 30 years later, of course, the Yerushalmi was printed by non-Jewish printers, right? The Jewish people didn't get permission to print. It was the non-Jewish printers, Bomberg, Justinian, and after around 30 years, they started squabbling and undercutting each other and cheating, putting Pirushim without saying whose names they were, all sorts of things. And it led to such a fight. First, the Ramah was brought into it to try and settle the fight, Masechet. He didn't succeed. And in the end, the church got into it, the fight. And each one was saying the other one's books were all heretical, the other one's books were heretical. And it led to, in 1553, the burning of the books. They picked up whatever Bablis, Yerushalmis they could find in any homes, whatever, and they burnt them all on the 13th of Cheshvan, roughly, in 1553. So as much as going to Venice and seeing where they started printing, but unfortunately it was also a place where they started burning everything 30 years later. But at least the amount of Sfarim that were printed in that time enables us to make sure that we do have some Sfarim today, and all that we learned should be a zechus for those sad times when the Yerushalmi was burnt. We're up to Perek Hasiri Halacha Gimel, which is roughly Sadi Gimel Amud Aleph. Okay, so here we go. So Tiltum, which is a type of, they always call it fenugreek, don't they? It's where the wood is similar to the taste of the spice. Whether it's a spice, chilba they call it here, of course, which is also rubia. Rubia, as you know, is the same as lubia. And rubia and lubia are eaten by many on Rosh Hashanah. Okay? And we say Yirbu Zachiasenu when we have rubia. It's sort of string beans of some kind. But anyway, that's that opinion. So whatever it is, Shanafla, now the wood with the seeds fall into a well of water. It gave taste into the water. So with Truma of Masechet, so if this fenugreek of Truma or Masechet falls into water, we work out if the seeds themselves have enough to give taste in the water, then the water is forbidden. We don't look at the wooden side, because the wood doesn't join up so it hasn't got Kedushas Truma, it hasn't got Kedushas Masechet, because it can't be eaten. So if you've got water and you've got 60 times as much than the seeds, so the seeds is botel, that taste of the seeds is botel, even though you still got a bit of the taste because of the wood, then the water does not become forbidden. The shvius, but with the fenugreek of shvius, which is gone past zman bir and it's forbidden to be eaten, and klaya kerem and hegdush, then if one of them falls into a well of water, we work out yesh bazera over eitz k'dei litzen tam. Now we have to use the wood as well as the isur, because these isurim, the wood itself is included in the isur. Now, if you had, let's say, a bunch of this fenugreek of klaya kerem, yidlaku, you have to burn it, including the wood. The wood is also because of kalayim, and klaya kerem has to be burnt. It says tigdash, hayulai chavile tilton shel tevel. If you have this bunch of fenugreek of tevel, kaitesh, you can grind it to separate the seeds from the stalks. You see how much seeds are there. Umafresh esazera, and you can separate on behalf of the zera. Remember, it's tevel, so you need to separate trumas maestros for the seeds. You don't have to start separating the wood for truma. Now, the taste of the wood has the taste similar to the seeds, but it's not fitting for eating. Therefore, it does not have an obligation of trumas maestros. Im hefrish, if first you separated truma from this thing when it's still the seeds together with the wood before you ground and separated the seeds. Lo yom, don't say, well, echtash, I'll separate the seeds, and I'll take the wood for myself, and I'll give the seeds to the Cohen, and a nice imazar. So if you separate it while they're connected, then you have to give everything to the Cohen, yeah? You have to give the seeds, the truma aspect of the seeds, and the truma for the wood as well. If you separate it if you separate the truma while the seeds are still connected to the wood. Now we've learnt when this tilton of shvius or klaya kerem or hagdush falls into water, then the wood also joins up to forbid the water. But surely this wood gives a sort of bad taste in the water that's fallen in. It completely ruins the taste. And if that's the case, why is the water asul? Masnisin commando. Our Mishnah is like the one who says nosin tam nifgam asul. Nosin tam, when it gives a bad taste, this is the view of Rameir, where even bad taste is also forbidden. But if you're going to tell me that like Rabbi Yossi, that it doesn't forbid when it gives a bad taste, he agrees in this case it's forbidden. Whenever any of the wood of fenugreek falls in, it improves it. It's not like other wood which would give a bad taste. We said we got this bundle of fenugreek. How big is that? 25 stalks which are tied together. And they're considered like a bundle if it's so thick that you can use 4 of them. From 4 of them you can make a bed. Okay? So they're so big that if they were full of straw, they could hold straw. You could prepare from these 4 chavilas a bed to lie down on. Okay? Okay. I mean, according to our Mishnah, there's no difference between single stalks and tied up stalks. Well, this is as far as the Mishnah and Ola. There's a chiluk between separate stalks and tied up stalks. Okay. Now, Milsa Amra, Mishnah tells us, while they're still in these bundles stage, they are still tebel there. When they're still in these bundles, this is even before we've ground them to separate the seeds. This is their gemar malacha, right? They are still tebel. If that's the case, even stalks of wheat should be tebel before you thresh them and made a whole pile of it. Why yet the Mishnah in Maisra says no. With wheat, it's only after you make the whole smoothing out of the pile. He says, you don't usually bring the wheat stalks to the house in these bundles because you need it for flour, so you thresh it and you make a mound to prepare it before you bring it in the house. So there's no gemar malacha until you make it into your pile, then it's ready to bring into the house. But the fenugreek, you bring it into the house in this stage, this bundle stage, because that's what you do. So that's why it's tebel. Therefore it's gemar malacha, and that's why it's tebel. But there are cases where you want to bring wheat, like roasted wheat kernels. You bring them into the house in these bundles, and then you break them a bit to separate them, make them roasted. So we should say in these cases, it should be tebel while it's still in these bundles. He says, you don't grow it for that purpose to make these roasted things. You grow it for wheat. Sometimes you'll bring a bit into the house for malilos. Since the normal usage was for wheat, it's not gemar malacha till after threshing. But with regard to the fenugreek, it's grown for this purpose, it's gathered for this purpose. You use the seeds when they're whole, and you grow them for this, and therefore the gemar malacha is while it's still in the state of chavila. Halacha dalet. Zeisei chulin shekavshan and zeisei truma. So chulin olives, which were pickled together with truma olives in salt water. Petzui chulin in petzui truma. So let's say you had broken olives of chulin with broken truma ones, right? So they've been ground, they've been pressed. I b'mei truma, or you let's say pickled chulin olives in water where olives of truma had been pickled. Also, Yisrael's not allowed to eat them, right? Well, the chulin ones. Why? Because they would have absorbed taste from the grounding, from the pounding. So if you've got whole chulin olives pickled with broken, pounded truma olives, whole chulin with broken truma, and definitely if you've got whole ones of truma, muta Yisrael is allowed to eat the chulin ones. So basically the whole olives will not absorb any taste. So let's just see this again. So 1 second. So if it's broken chulin with broken truma, and they're pickled together, or broken chulin with whole truma, or with truma water that has had truma soaked in it, then also Yisrael can't eat it. If it's whole chulin pickled with broken truma, then Yisrael can eat it, the chulin, because the whole ones will not absorb. Now we said broken ones of chulin pickled with olives of truma are forbidden. Now whole ones of chulin pickled with truma ones are not forbidden. They don't absorb. Now the truth is even whole olives do absorb a bit from pickling. So why is it that broken olives are also, but complete olives are not forbidden? Why is that? Our Rav Yonah says, the broken ones, boilin or poltin, boilin. They absorb, they give out, and they absorb again. First, they'll take the chulin water where they're pickled together. Then they'll start giving out their taste, and the truma olives will also give out their taste. And then the ones with the broken chulin will start absorbing the truma taste from the truma olives, and therefore they're forbidden. Whereas shleimin, whole olives, boilin or poltin, they absorb and then they give out. They don't boil, but they will not absorb again. So they may absorb the water from the chulin at the beginning, then they will start giving out their taste, and the olives of truma, which are also giving out their taste, but then at that time, these chulin ones will not absorb anymore. They won't absorb the truma taste when the truma olives are giving out their taste, and therefore they're not forbidden. However, this tells me when we're forbidding the chulin olives that absorb truma olives, it tells me when you absorb the isur, lo l'shevach v'lo l'pagam asur. Even if it's not really absorbing a good taste or a bad taste, it's still forbidden. So it didn't improve in any way. The Mishnah says the olives of chulin, they absorb the taste of the olives of truma, even though the olives that give a taste, and they're not adding any extra taste, they're not improving it, not making it worse. But if it gives tam, it's forbidden. Masechet Rav Shimon. The Mishnah is like the view of Rav Shimon. The one is going to say now that a taste which doesn't improve or make better or make worse is like a tam lifgam. And we said the Mishnah that forbids a taste, even though it's not improving taste, is Rav Shimon. That the shit of Rav Shimon, that we think it gives a bad taste, it's forbidden. He says, you think Rav Shimon, I'm a nice and tam lifgam also. You think Rav Shimon holds if he gives a bad taste, it's forbidden. Rav Shimon, he holds if he gives a bad taste, it's permitted. Nice and tam lifgam mutter. So what we mean is, not that he holds if he gives a bad taste, it's also. Rav Shimon holds if it gives a bad taste, it's permitted. But when it gives a taste which is not good and not bad, then it's also. Kahada, we find it in Rav Shimon, I'm a kruv shel shakya. It's like what? Cabbage or something of chulin, which grows in a field which is irrigated, man-made irrigated. Sheshlaka kruv shel baal. You cooked it with a cabbage of truma which grew in a field irrigated through rain. It's drunk through rain and not man-made irrigation. Also it's forbidden. Neshu balea. The shakya one will absorb from the other field, the other cabbage. Right, the taste of truma is coming out. It's drier. Right, when it's in a field that you had to irrigate, that cabbage is going to be drier. Now, in this situation, the reason of the kruv of truma is like the kruv of chulin. Like the taste will go in. It doesn't really improve it. It doesn't make it worse. It doesn't make it better. And yet Rav Shimon forbids you to have the chulin. Once you see that if it gives taste which is not the shrach or not lifgam, it is forbidden. Halacha hey. Dag tameh shekav shem dag tara. So you pickled non-kosher fish with a kosher fish in a barrel. And through that you have this brine coming out of the non-kosher fish and the kosher fish. Again, it's mixed up. Kol garav shul masik sasayim. So any barrel which holds 2 sah, if it's got a weight of 10 zuz in Yehuda, Shehein, Chamesh, Slayim, Megalil, which 5 Slayim, Megalil, of Dag Tameh, if there's that amount of non-kosher fish in this barrel, right, so the weight of the non-kosher fish is 1 in 960 of the whole barrel, because the 2 sah, you have around 9,600 zuz. And Sirai also, then the brine that comes out, the whole barrel is forbidden, because that brine is like the fish juice is very sharp, and it forbids even 960 times as much. Rabbi Yehuda said, only if the tameh fish is revius b'sasayim. So the amount of the tzir of the tameh is 1 over 192 of the barrel. Then it forbids. So according to Yehuda, tzir only forbids still 192 against it, not 960. Rabbi Yasser, but he said, it doesn't forbid until you have echad meshisha asabai. It doesn't forbid until you have 16 times as much in the barrel. According to Rabbi Yasser, the tzir doesn't forbid, it only forbids 16 times as much. So, not 900, 16 times it will forbid, but not 900 times and not 192 times. Now, non-kosher locust. They were pickled together with kosher locust. Low pasud siram. Even though they're forbidden, we were not machmir on their mixture. We're not machmir about the juice that comes out. Here Rav Tzadok Al-Si gave evidence on tzir chagavim tameim shu tahar, that it's okay, it's kosher, the tzir of the non-kosher locust. Now, first of all, we'll talk about this tzir, this fish juice, which is created by pickling non-kosher fish and kosher fish together. Now, what about a kosher fish that's pickled with a tamei fish? So imagine you have a kosher fish which is unsalted. And you pickled it with a salted treifa fish. Also, that's forbidden. Basically, the tahar kosher fish will absorb from all this juice coming out of the non-kosher fish. Okay, it's going to absorb all that's coming out of the non-kosher fish. So now, I'll tell you, Reb Chia learns a brisa, kosher fish, which was pickled with tamei fish, madicha, just wash it off, and mutter is permitted. Ramana said, Mandama, the one who said that is mutter, when is the kosher fish permitted? That's shekoshen shtein ka'achas. You pickled both fish together. So then they don't absorb from each other. The fish only absorbs the first time it goes into the pickling process, and then it starts giving out and doesn't absorb. So when you put them together in one go, they both absorb at the beginning from the pickling water, which is permitted, and then they give it out, and they can't absorb anymore. Manda Amar also, the one who says that the kosher fish is forbidden, you pickled one after the other. So first, you pickled the treifa fish. Then you put the kosher fish in the barrel. So now, the sear of the treifa fish has already come into the barrel before you put the kosher fish inside. And as soon as the kosher fish goes into the barrel, it starts absorbing all this juice from the treifa fish. I'll prove it to you, Tanina, we've learned in the previous Mishnah, let's say you pickled the olives, but made truma, in truma water. That's water that you had pickled truma in there. Also, then you can't eat these olives. But if you put it in one go, chulin, complete olives, with say truma olives is permitted. What's the difference between pickling chulin olives with waters of truma or pickling with the olives of truma? He says the difference is when they're pickled in waters of truma, shekavshan zechazeh, it's talking about you pickled one after the other. So first you pickled in water the truma olives. Then you pickled in the water the chulin olives. Therefore the chulin olives are forbidden. But if you grind up the chulin olives and the truma olives, and it's talking about you pickle them in one go, they're not forbidden. So the same thing here with the kosher fish and the non-kosher fish, it's the same thing. If you pickle the two in one go, then the kosher fish remains permitted. But if you pickle them one after the other, the tahar one after the tamei one, then the tahar one becomes forbidden. Now any sort of barrel, if you've got a weight of 10 zuz in Yehuda of non-kosher fish, the tzir is also 10 zuz of tzir can forbid until 2 sa. Kama sasa after, how much is there in a sa? Esrim Rabbalogin, 24 lug. The kama lug abin, how much is in a lug? 13 litrin, 2 litrin. So it comes out 48 litrin is in a sa. The kama litra after, how much is in a litron? Me'az dinin. That's 100 zuz. Therefore, of 400,800 zuz, you'll get in a sa. So 2 sa is 9,600 zuz, which is 960 times 10. Nimsa calls in was in. So every zuz of tzir, of tamei fish, tamei in the barrel, is achas v'cham me'as v'shishim, is 1 against 960, which is in the barrel. So according to the Tanakama, the tzir of dogim tameim can forbid until an amount of 960. However, he paskened, Achbar might be a place. Some say it's a place. Some say it's a mouse. He paskened about a mouse that fell into a tafshil that gave taste. Or some say it was a place. That the fish juice is tameh and is bottom and shir of chad le'elef, you need 1,000 against it. Rabbi Yehuda says that tzir is batal when you've got a revis of tameh fish in 2 sa. He said when Rabbi Yehuda said a revis in sasayim, he means roibat tzir, a quarter of tzir b'sasayim tzir, in 2 sa of tzir. Be'ein dag tahar matzil. The kosher fish itself does not join up for the shir of bittul of the non-kosher brine, right? So in order to allow the tzir tahar from stopping it from being forbidden. So we can't use the kosher fish in the equation. However, Chashvis Yaseh, I looked at the reckoning of Rabbi Yehuda and I found that the tzir of dagim tameim forbids close to 192 times as much. It's close to 200, which is 192. Reverse to Sasayim, and there's 192 reverse in 2 sa. He said, when he said reverse Sasayim, he means Rova Tzir, but Sasayim dog in the Tzir. The quote says Rova Tzir with 2 sa of fish in the Tzir. So he allows the fish as well in the calculation. Also, the story came from Roshia, Vahira and he paskin, the fish join up with the Tzir to be Mavatel the non-kosher Tzir. The Tali came when do we say the Tzir forbids a shiver of in 2 sa? Bisman Shashayda Rishon. Now look at this. When you take out fish from the barrel, one by one, you put them in front of you and you see them. And you find this amount, then you have to forbid it. There's no reason to say, oh, maybe some has got lost. They're in front of you. You can see how much there is. If you're bringing out fish from the barrel, rishon, one by one, and then you chuck it behind you, you don't see it. I can't see you, right? You don't see it. You chuck it behind you. Because even more than a reverse in 2 sa, mutter, the tzir is permitted. Because maybe there was more, but they got lost after you took them out of the barrel. This seems to be some sort of taliyah, right? You're taking them out. Oh, I don't know where they are now. I don't know how much there are now, because you don't see them. He says, if you're going to tell me only the tahar tzir is mevatel the tame one, even if you had other kosher fish, that's not reason to be lenient. Because we can't be mevatel only based on the tahar tzir. You can't use the fish. It must be the fish joined up to be mevatel the tame tzir. And the Gemara brings it in, al de ila. This is some sort of, what do they translate ila? Some ruse. What do they translate it as? A ruse? A pretext. They allowed you to have the tzir when you're putting the fish behind you. Really, there's no reason to say that there were other kosher fish that got lost. But they were lenient here through some pretext, because the tzir of dagim tameim is only rabbinically forbidden. It's not biblically forbidden. Now, we bring 2 other cases where the Chacham were lenient with a pretext. Gevunta ikalkalas. So the river Gevunta was made for idolatry. They asked, now is the waters rivers forbidden? He says, Rabim, if it's a public thing, a river can't be forbidden. But a de'ilah, that was again through this case, not really enough reason to allow it, because really the river belongs to everyone, and also to those who served it, and they should be able to. But the main reason of the heter, something connected to the ground can't be forbidden. Right? So you could say, maybe they took some water with their hands from the river and worshipped that. But the river is a massive thing of the masses, so we're not worried about that. Now the gittin, the divorces of women, like Gaius, Lucas, Sibahem, now sometimes it's signed on them witnesses who have non-Jewish names, like Gaius and Lucas. And even so, Tamatra Kasha, we say they're kosher. Why are we worried maybe the Adim apostle? But we say with Machshal De'ilah, we say that these are Israelim that have these Gentile names. Here of Sadek Azir he gave evidence that it's tahar, this tzir of tameh of non-kosher locust, and you can eat it. Now, if he wanted to tell you you can eat it, he should have said mutter. But he says tahar. It sounds like he's telling you a din that there's no dinei tumah. So what is it? Mao tahar. What do you mean it's tahar? Tahar malahashir. It does not make anything else susceptible to receive tumah. Halatame, as far as tumah said, becoming tameh, I feel a kosher b'tameh, even the smallest bit can receive tumah. Anything pickled together is permitted. Now, we're going to see soon the correct wording here is anything that's not pickled but cooked together is permitted. Vegetables of chulin and truma that were cooked, we'll see. A little bit of cooking doesn't cause transfer of taste. Except if it's vegetables cooked in chisis, which is some sort of onion or leek of truma, which are very sharp. Because they're sharp, they give taste even with a tiny bit of cooking. So if you cooked chisis shal chulin, let's say the leek of chulin with chisis shal truma, or yerek, or a vegetable cooked of chulin in chisis shal truma with a leek of truma, also the chulin is forbidden, because the chisis of truma gives a taste in the chulin. Aber chisis shal chulin in yerek shal truma mutar. But a leek of chulin cooked with a normal vegetable of truma is permitted, because the normal vegetable doesn't give taste with a tiny bit of cooking. Rabbi Yosef, he said, anything that's cooked, small cooking with beets, Asurin is forbidden. Nice and time, they give taste for a bit of cooking. With Shimon, he says, also the cabbage that grows in the dry field that you have to irrigate it, which you cooked in kruvshal baal, with other type of cabbage, also is forbidden because it absorbs. Rabbi Kiva, he said, any isabaheta cooked together are permitted. Min minai doesn't add any taste. And I'm a basa, except if it's cooked meat with tray for meat, then it's forbidden even though it doesn't say min. He says kaved, you have a liver, let's say from a trefa that was cooked with a heta food, iseres, it cooks everything, it forbids everything, but the actual liver of heta, doesn't become forbidden if it was cooked with davas, because it gives out and doesn't absorb. Right? It's full of blood, it gives out. When it's cooked, it gives out its blood, it doesn't absorb from elsewhere. An egg that was spiced in its cooking with forbidden spices like truma or ola, so even the yellow part is forbidden, because it absorbs from the taste. You've got water that vegetables have been cooked in of truma, asur nazarim, Yisraelim not allowed to have that. The water would have taken taste of the vegetables which are truma. Now, vegetables of chulin which were pickled together with vegetables of truma are mutter to Yisraelim. Let's take away the word pickled together, and a nishlak, it's true they were cooked together. But a little bit of cooking doesn't cause transfer of taste, unless it's leek or something. But vegetables pickled together do absorb one from the other. Because kavish korosech, when it's pickled, it's like it's boiling together. So vegetables of chulin, which are pickled with vegetables of truma, is also to zarim as if they were cooked together. Rabbi Chanina, tirta'a, b'shem Rav Hoshea, chasis, you've got your leek of chulin, which was cooked with chasis min b'minah, with a leek of truma, the same kind, onion with onion. Machleis Rabbi Kiva chachamim. Rabbi Kiva mati, he allows the chulin one to Yisraelim, because the truma one didn't add any taste, they're both the same thing. Forbid it. Now what about basar, meat, which was cooked with permitted meat, from the same min? Is there an argument? They agree, but basar, kosher meat, cooked with trefa meat, and the two pieces of one min, shum mutter, is permitted, because there was no argument only with the leeks which were cooked, because they're very sharp. Rav Zira said to Rabbi Yosef, had you not told us this did, we wouldn't have known this for ourselves. It should be more logical to say the opposite. Meat cooked with meat will be forbidden even according to Rabbi Kiva. Maybe it was only said, Ella, he agrees to them. Meat that was cooked with basar shul also be forbidden meat. Rabbi Kiva agrees that it gives taste even if it's the same type of meat. He agrees to basar shu also. That it's forbidden, right? Rabbi Yechon surely said his words like he holds, like Razira said. Rabbi Chidna Shaul Min de Basra. He worked it out that the meats cooked together is forbidden, and he said from the Hemshech of the Mishnah, Rabbi Kiva Emekolis Vashin Zavzem Butarin, all that's cooked together is permitted except for meat. Chutz Basa. And Rabbi Chidna learned that Shemshai is like this: anything permitted cooked with isul min b'minai, the heta doesn't become forbidden. Apart from meat cooked together, it uses. And then, so you see it's in our Fush and our Mishnah that basar cooked meat that was cooked with basar of isur min b'minai also is forbidden, even according to the view of Rabbi Kiva. Okay, so it's all very well. We have to change the wording. Rabbi Yasa, Rabbi Yechon said everyone agrees meat and meat is also. Could be Rabbi Yechon first said like Rabbi Yasa said. We have to change something. Maybe the truth is that Rabbi Yochanan, the Chachamim agreed to Rabbi Kiva the way Rabbi Yasa said it, not Rabbi Kiva agrees to the Chachamim, but maybe Chachamim agreed to Rabbi Kiva. Ella, instead of finishing the Chachamim agreed to him to allow it, you have to finish like this. Moedim Chachamim Rabbi Kiva, they agree. Basa, meat cooked with meat, shehu also, it is forbidden. They agree, basa, shehu also. So you cook the meat together, it is forbidden. Shimon said the cabbage grown in a drier field, which you cook with the other cabbage, then it's also absorbs from it. We wanted to say he says it absorbs Shabal Balea. The one of the other fields absorbs from the irrigated field. Right? And according to that, we're talking about a cabbage of Baal was Chulin, and the one of the irrigated field was Truma. And Rav Shimon says that the cabbage of Baal absorbs from the other one, it's forbidden. That which Rav Huna said that the cabbage of the state Baal, which gets enough rainfall, take the cabbage from where it's connected and you'll see it's full of moisture. This tells me that when he says it absorbs, he means the shel sheki, the one in the irrigated field absorbs. Right? It's so dry, that's why it absorbs from elsewhere. He said he spoke about the liver. Remember the liver? It forbids out, it gives out, but it doesn't take in. Now, if you cooked the liver in milk, some learn it's chaylev, others learn it's chalav. Now what's the din? Are we going to say it's not also because of basma chalav, because it doesn't absorb from the milk? Or maybe Rechman agrees it's also because the milk will stick to it and get absorbed in it, even with the liver. Very good question. We have no answer. The Girsa here, as I said, some say chalav, but the truth is other liquids as well, the same din. Alright. Rav Zeira lo yachol kavod miyamav. He never ate cooked liver. Of course, what do, Rabbi Isai? We only roast liver. Yeah? We don't salt liver, then cook it. We only roast liver. Rav Zeira lo yachol kavod miyamav. He was always worried maybe it doesn't absorb. We're worried maybe the blood coming out when it cooks will go and get back absorbed inside. Shalke Rabba Ba'echlele. Rabba cooked it. He knew that he gave it to Rav Zeira to eat. Rav Zeira didn't rely on him. Or he relied on him. Yeah, he did rely on him and he ate. Rabba salted it and then cooked it and gave it to Rav Zeira. Thought the salting will help to take the blood from the liver. Chel moin, the yellow of an egg, which has got various forbidden spices, also is forbidden. It absorbs taste. Chel moin also, the yellow is forbidden. Definitely the white, right? And definitely the forbidden taste will go into the egg. They'll forbid the yellow. They will also forbid the white. Here's what Rabbi Shem Lakish based on Shashak and Masa Bahene Froyach. You cook the eggs and you find a chick in it. It's Nevela. All the other eggs are also. That is where it's the chick is in the egg, but nice and tam, where it gives taste in the other eggs. Rav Zeira Shem Rabbi Shem Rabbi Yechanan, Rav Zeira Rav Adam Bar Gershon, Rav Kirai, Rav Levi Bar Pata, Rav Zaken Echad, the Shem Rabbi. Shishim B'Yachas, so 61 eggs against it is forbidden. But if you have 62, Shishim B'Shtayim, Mutais is permitted. He gave evidence b'shishim. It's bottled in 60 others, like other Isurim. But anyone going to bring me a case where there's a chick that got cooked with other eggs? If you got Yosef b'shishim, if you got more than 60, machshir or not, I will permit it. They said Shishim Bava. Do you say this, that you need 62 against it? And they were from Nachman and Rav Yonis, and they say 61 is enough to be Vatel. He said, I say what I heard, and they say what they heard. You with me, yeah? Shimon Baba Amakum Rav Chanina. Master Balif Rav Gamliel, but Rebbe story came before Rav Gamliel with an egg, which had a chick cooked with other eggs. He says, did my father not allow you to allow this in a case where the egg is forbidden? You got 47 eggs, that's enough. Although earlier on we said you need 61, that's only with the eggs which were shelled, which were cooked in their own. But eggs which were cooked in their shells, 47 is enough. Because the shell also joins to be mitzaref laheta. And together with that, you'll get your 61. If the base says 45, because the eggs were bigger, so therefore 45 eggs with a shell gives you 61 for the forbidden egg. Rav Chanina, Master Molifnei Rebbe, story came before Rebbe with an egg which had a chick which was cooked with the other eggs. He says, this time on Chamshin, do you have 15? That's good enough. Rav Chanina, he says, the shells of the eggs which are mayim and the water in the pot also mistarif, also join up to be mevatel the taste. Rav Zira said, and also Isu, when you look at the egg which is also, we look at mitaychan, only the isur aspects of it which are fitting to be eaten. But the shell of the forbidden egg does not join up to asa. Right? It doesn't give any taste. Rav Huna said not just that the shell of the forbidden egg doesn't join in the isur, but klipe isur, the shell of the forbidden egg, malin esaheta, they join up to mevatel the isur. Right? Because the taste of the chick spreads also in the shell of its own shell. Tanya, we learn based into Harav, eggs of a kosher bird. You cook them with eggs of a non-kosher bird. Mutaris, they're permitted, they do not absorb. That's all really well that the Thai ones which were cooked with the tummy ones are permitted. When you cook the tummy ones together in their shell. So then the eggs don't absorb because it's the shells of the eggs stop anything coming out of the egg. And the shells of the eggs which are tar, they're not going to absorb, and each one causes they won't go taste between the other one and the other. And if you cook the eggs shlukos with shlukos, cooked eggs with other cooked eggs, they were cooked before on their own, and then you cook them together. So here as well, the tummy eggs have already given out all their taste in the first cooking, and the tar ones have already absorbed a lot in the first cooking. Now you cook them together, they're not going to absorb from each other. Avo, shalkan basin glubos, but she'eno glubos. If you cooked shelled eggs, tahor ones, in tummy ones she'en glubos, which are not shelled, or she'eno glubos, eggs which are tahor, which are not shelled, well, glubos with eggs which are tummy, which are shelled, or you cooked shelled eggs which are tahor shlukos, which have been cooked before, but she'enon shlukos, with tummy treifa eggs which had not been cooked before, then the tummy ones give taste now. The tahor ones have not got any taste to give out. In this situation, you will need another amount of kosher eggs to be greater, so you'll have a share to be mevatel the taste of the tummy eggs. Giule beitzim. This is eggs which got out early, that got laid early. Yeah, they're not complete. Mutarid, there's no issa ibn achai on them. Now, where's the source of this word geule? Shora ibe v'lo yagil. It means the cow of the Russia became pregnant and didn't lose its fetus. So yagil is a question of losing a fetus. So lashon gil is eggs which have come out before their time. Beisim shehir kimu. They started forming as a chick. Haredo source, they are forbidden rabbinically. Muzarais. Now, basically, the chick sat on them for a long time. And never sheyofet hoichal. If you're not sick of them, you can eat it. You don't have to worry, maybe they started forming. Masa bahen dam, if you find blood, kadef bakam dam, you have to cut away that blood area. Rav Zeira salak bevakra. He went to visit Rav Yitzchok at Tushia when he was ill. Ashkecha Yosef Abba, he found him sitting, he's saying, Lo Shana, when do we say you have to scrape away the blood? Ella, that is the chelmoin, the blood on the white, because that is where the thing starts forming. It's considered dam basa, which is forbidden. Avo chelboin on the sorry, that was on the yellow. Chelboin was on the yellow. But avo chelboin was on the white. Muta, you don't have to peel it away. That's considered dam beitzim, which we learn it is permitted. Musava, he held to gabe min havhose. Rav Zira thought, he heard this from a tradition from his fathers. He said Rav Chia never got this tradition. He had his own svara. You can't rely on it. But bein chalboin also, wherever the blood is, on the white and the yellow, it's forbidden. The blood which is on the white is also where it begins to form, and it's also because of dambasa. It's machlokes Mechaber Ramon, I think. I think Mechaber holds the main thing is the yellow. And the Ramon is machbe for both, I think. Tari Rav Chalafta ben Shaul. Brisa says if it's blood found on the chalboin, on the yellow, also it's forbidden. Chalboin, if it's on the white, also it's permitted. Rav Zira said, Handa Ama. I think the Metzia says it's on the white, not on the yellow. But anyway, Handa Ama, that when you tell me blood found by chalboin on the yellow is also, that's because Shenim Zamakim Zachrusa Shal Chalboin. Now this is where it's all complicated. It's only where the blood is found on the knot of the white. Sorry, the knot of the yellow. The Zachrusa, we don't really know what this is, you see. He says that the seeds of the chicken is connected to one of the ends of the egg. There's the sharp side and the not sharp side, and that's where the frach begins to form. Kesha chalboin is thicker than the rest of the white, Zachrusa shel chalboin. That's the main part of the white. It's like a thread. And the other end is connected to the yellow. There's a kesher there as well. So Hada Amar B'chalboin also, wherever that is. But Afilu, the same thing, even if the blood is found on chalboin, if you have to give us a chalboin here, on the white it's also. If it's on that connected thread, should be menu and frach where the chick is created from there. So it doesn't depend on whether the blood is on the chalboin or the chalboin. Wherever happens, if it's on the kesher, wherever that is, where some sort of string is produced, it's forbidden, because that's where the thing is formed, and that's dambasa, and that's like the view of Rabbi Yochanan. That which Rabbi Yochanan said chalboin, and chalboin is also, he means when it's on an area of the kesher. Meikavashim, pickled waters where truma has been pickled in it, Yisrael can't have the water. Taman Tanina. We've learned Eva Poslin, the following pasa the mikvah when you have 3 lug falling in. V'loi malin, they don't make up the shur the mikvah. So mayim, of course, which is shurvin, but water that's been drawn. Bein tahirim, bein tamein, whether it's tahir or tameh. Bein kvashim, mei shlokos, pickled waters, cooked waters, temed, or water that grapes and so on have been soaked in. Actually, hechbet, before it started fermenting, it's also got didn't like water. So here in our Mishnah, water that's pickled or cooked vegetables of truma, we treat it as vegetables of truma. Therefore, Yisrael can't eat it. With the mikvah, we treat the pickled waters as water. We say they passel the mikvah, like Maim Shuvim. Rabbanah said, Kan b'mir b'koshin. Here we're talking about it's very thicker. It's got darker because of the fruit. It's considered like food. It's forbidden. Whereas Kan in the mikvah is barakin. It's more clear. It hasn't got darker because of the fruit. So Kan in our Mishnah is ba'achel. It's considered like a food. And Kan in the mikvah is b'mashke. It's considered like a drink. But I feel you could say we're both talking about a case where it's thickish, and Kamaka Rakin are both cases where it's liquidy, but there's no stira, no sin ta'amim b'truma, but ain't no sin ta'amim b'mikvah. With truma, we forbid because of taste, but not as far as mikvah is. So the truth is, the pickled waters are not considered like May Paris. The reason why they're forbidden of truma, there's a taste of truma. But as far as mikvah, the taste has no effect in the halacha of the kashrus of the mikvah. Adon lach ba'sel shenasnu.